Well, how things change, eh? 1 minute you're top of the league, flying high, full of all the joys. Next thing you know, you're drawing with Palace, losing to Liverpool and Leicester, and all your hopes are built upon a great performance against Stoke on a wet Wednesday in the League Cup. And how disappointing is that? Well, a little bit disappointing, but listen, I'm always upbeat. I'm always glass half full when it comes to Spurs. They've let me down so many times. I try to always stay positive, and that's why I do my videos the next day most of the time, because if I do my videos the next day, then I'm not full of rage and upset and I get a chance to kind of think about it a little bit and try to put it into a little bit of perspective. So yeah, wasn't a great performance. Some of the game was quite hard to watch in parts. I felt the first half against Stoke, I thought we played really well. Didn't think there was too many problems with it. We looked comfortable. There were parts where we were passing the ball around, fairly well, fairly comfortably. I think at one point I saw some stats saying that we had 77 possession and all that, and felt sort of quite comfortable. Nice to see a great ball forward by Harry Winks, who does get an awful lot of flack for his sideways and backward passing, but this was a great ball forward and a deft little touch from the man himself, Mr. Bow, who puts it in the back of the net, and it's all roses, and we're looking good, ready to progress with no problems at all. Just a bit of a shame that we couldn't really put the game to bed sort of early on, because I think if we'd have put it to bed early on, it would have made for a much more comfortable watch. But certainly the second half, Stoke came out clearly fired up that, look, they've got nothing to lose, right? They're down 1-0, they've got nothing to lose, we've just got to get at them, and that's what they did. And they are a physical team, they are strong, and they put us under a lot of pressure. Got a nice little work goal, Ugo getting beaten at his near post, which ain't always great to see, but well taken. Credit to the lad. They played it well, and they got they got what they deserved. But of course, ultimately this is Tottenham, and we are, despite what a lot of people will say, we are a top team. We are Premier League, and we are Champions League challengers. Looking for those top spots. So you've got to hope that your quality will show through in the end, and Ben Davies grabbing a really well worked goal just then kind of solidified the situation, and we know that we're back in control, and it was never really in doubt after that, to be fair. A little bit disappointing for Delhi, I felt. I think that the fan base is kind of split over Delhi. A lot of people are saying, he's passed, he's gone, he's not got it, and others, a little bit like me, that really want to see him back to his best. I think the difficulty is that if you're a flair player like Delhi, he does stuff that's really gets lauded. If you think back to the goal against Palace in a few years ago, you look at it and you go, wow, what a player. And you look at the pass he made when he fell over against West Ham last season, and that's the quality that the boy brings to it. And he was instrumental when Mourinho first came back in. But sometimes those little tricks, flicks, and clever runs don't always come off for you. And if you're that flair player that relies on that, it's never going to look great. But if you're willing to do the basics and work on the basics, then sometimes it's stuff like that gets you through. It's the same with anything, any kind of way of working. If you do really well at something and it starts to go wrong, the thing that you need to do is go right back to basics, go right back to the beginning of all the things, the foundations of that role, to get that right. And I think for Dele, that's probably what he needs to do. He probably needs to stop thinking about the flicks and the tricks and get back to basics in terms of getting your position right, getting your running right, making the right sort of passes, trying to keep it simple, and then the confidence will build and the ability will come back. That's just my opinion. I would hate to see Dele get cast aside, go off to somewhere like PSG or Man United or any of those kind of places, and then all of a sudden become a world beater. I'd really hate to see that, because I've got faith in the boy. I still think he's got a lot to offer. He's still a young kid, but that's my view on Dele anyway. So Gareth Bale, I guess, is the other one who's kind of being called out a little bit. Does it generally work if you bring a player back from the past? Not always. You'd be hard pushed to think of a player who really did well in his second spell, even if you think about Klinsmann or Sheringham and Keane, Defoe, those kind of players. Yeah, they probably did all right, but they weren't really the player that they were when they left. I guess there's always going to be a bit of that. And I wasn't too bothered about Bale coming back. I personally felt that, having sat on the bench for a while with Real Madrid and all the rest of it, I was a little bit concerned about his attitude. How was he going to come back? What was he going to contribute? But I think, clearly he's happy. He's smiling. He's adding to the team. He's probably a big part of the dressing room. But he needs to get that fitness back. He needs to get that marauding runs back, and that. How that's going to come, I don't know. Is it a confidence thing? Is it a minutes under your belt thing? Really hard to tell. I hope so. I'd love to see him sort of, play a good role for us in terms of getting some kind of silverware, because I think, bear in mind he probably had other options other than Tottenham, to be fair, and he chose to come back. So, for me, that counts for something. So we'll see. The season's not over. There's still plenty to play for. You don't know, he might be the guy that comes on and wins us a League Cup medal or a FA Cup medal or something, even a Europa League medal. He may be the guy that comes on and does that. But we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. But overall, ultimately, not a great watch on Wednesday night. But ultimately, it's about the result. We got the result in the end. That's the main thing. We take that on, and we've got a great tie. With all due respect to Brentford, they've got this far, so you can't knock them. But this is a great tie for us, an opportunity to play a lesser team on paper and see if we can progress to the final, and then it's just that last step to see whether we can actually get over the line and lift some silverware. And most people will go, oh, it's only the League Cup, blah, blah, blah. But listen, you've got to start somewhere. You've got to get a medal in something somewhere, and if it's going to be the League Cup, then so be it. I'm not going to turn my nose up at it, and if we do get the opportunity to go to Wembley to see Tottenham play, then of course I'm going to want to be in that number. I'm going to want to be there, to see that happening. It's not our greatest period of the league so far, of the campaign, but it's all still to play for, and you never know what's going to happen. You look around at the different results and the shock results that you get, and you think, well, you don't know what's going to happen. It's not over till it's over, and so we just keep going. We just keep supporting the team and hoping that one day we'll be good enough to win that Premier League. You never know. One day, I've never been the one that said this was the season. You hope, and you look at the stats and the little different bits and pieces about how Jose always finishes where he finishes at Christmas at the end of the season, and all those omens and stuff like that. I look at all that and like to believe it like everybody else does. But listen, it's a long season. Let's see what comes out of it. If Jose delivers some silverware, then it will have been a success, because You know, Poch couldn't do it in these 5 years, so if Jose can do it in a couple, that's what he'll be remembered for. And so we keep going, we keep believing, we keep supporting, we keep hoping that this season's going to be the season. And you know what? If it ain't this season, we'll all be thinking it'll be next season, right? Never know. Up the Spurs.